We're packing up on the motorcycles again, leaving our base camp at the BLM land outside of Yuma, and we looked at the weather forecast and it's looking good for 10 days in most of Arizona, so we're going to try to give the Arizona BDR a try.
We went over to Welding and then kind of found a path through the desert going southwest, and it turns out it was called the Camino del Diablo, which is a pretty neat road through the desert. I don't know what the history of it is. There was some signs, but we didn't stop. But it was pretty cool.
We went east and then south on some pavement until we came to the Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge, where we finally got off the pavement into some dirt roads, and we drove through a while through the wildlife refuge, which was pretty nice and scenic. The wildlife refuge butts up to the Coronado National Forest, so we immediately came into that and drove some nice sandy, rocky, mountainous roads up and over the Coronado National Forest into back down into Nogales, where we stopped off and got some gas and some groceries, and then headed to the east side of Nogales and went a little bit north onto Forest Road 61, back into the Coronado National Forest through some sand, and then up into the mountains again through some beautiful mountain passes. We came back out again to the National Forest, and we went not too much further and found a nice place to camp on the other side, north side of Canelo Pass. Banged out several sections of the Arizona BDR, continuing through the Coronado National Forest, and then from Benson, Arizona, we had to drive out on sort of flat desertous land along maybe sort of like a dried up river valley between mountains to our east and to our west, and pavement turned to dirt. We continued on a similar road for a while that wound up and around through some saguaro cactus, and finally up until we got to the edge of the south of the Tonto National Forest. We cut off onto some nice dirt roads and made our way up in elevation, and then once we got to the Tonto National Forest, we took a side road to find a beautiful camping spot for the night. So this morning, after we packed up at our campsite, we went and continued up over the mountain through Pioneer Pass, which was pretty nice and pretty.
Yesterday we rode from a little before Globe to towards Young. It was pretty awesome riding, actually. Came down into Young and got some fuel, and then headed for I think it's called the Mongalong Rim. As we got up to around 7,500 feet, The snow was pretty thick in there, and then when we got to the Mogollon turnoff area, the rim road was closed, so we had to make another plan. We headed downhill on the highway and found a turnoff because all the National Forest campgrounds are closed. Turn off onto a rocky road up here and spent the night in the woods.
Morning we headed to Peyton, got groceries and gas, and made a big loop around, plus I guess Clinton Wells, hoping to get back on the Arizona BDR, and we realized that the Forest Service road we wanted to take 211 north of there was closed, so we stopped at the ranger station and talked with a lady there and figured out a possible pass through. It has been messy. The ground is saturated, muddy, snowy, the tires are caked. I'm tired. Section of the Arizona BDR, and on that section we ran into a big herd of, I think they were pronghorn, which were pretty awesome.
And came down, got some gas at Winona, and then got right back into the I don't even know what to call it. I think it's something cinder area. So we continued out of the cinder area and then just kept kind of meandering towards the Grand Canyon. It was muddy back there again, but definitely not as bad as it was yesterday. It wasn't soul crushing like yesterday.
What's going on over there?
Got an oil leak coming from my countershaft seal.
Navajo Nation of the Arizona BDR, but I think it paid off, as you can see in the background. We drove up 89 and got on 89A and went through the Marble Canyon and stopped at the Navajo Bridge, and then we drove along some more pavement below the Vermilion Cliffs National Monument. Then we had to go up and over the mountains.
We decided we were going to skip the last part of the BDR.
Yeah.
Because we got to circle back to Yuma anyway.
So we just continued further west, and I'm not sure of the town that we headed out of.
Franconia,
Something like that. And we headed off on some dirt roads, big roads that we made some good time on. And then we came out to this location, which is a son of a bitch point.
lot's happened since we last did a talkie-talkie. Continued along our way through kind of like open land with cliffs overlooking, basically until we could get to Mesquite. We kind of were on the limits of our gas at around a little over 200 miles. Got to Mesquite, found power washers, and we were able to finally clearing off some of the killer mud that's causing problems. Following day, packed up shop and headed out.
Heading through the Lake Mead National Recreation Area, which is pretty.
It's all pavement, but it's pretty in there. We've never been in. So we went over the Hoover Dam and then came back and continued along this connector, Arizona BDR to whatever connector. Right when we got off of it, Lauren had a leak in her forks. Actually, both forks were leaking, so we did a trail side, took out the dust seal and made a seal saver and tried to scrape it out as best we could.
Probably when we were about, 20 miles out of Kingman, raining in the distance, and I noticed Paul's right luggage bag was swinging oddly, so we stopped on the side of the road to make sure it was strapped properly, and it was strapped. However, the weld that connects it to the top part of the bike had broken, so it was no longer attached.
With some duct tape and another strap, I was able to hold it up until we got to Kingman. I reached out to the only person that's listed in ADV Rider tent space, and sure enough, they were able to refer us to their son, who was just awesome. We went over there and he was able to weld up the rack and then extended amazing hospitality and allowed us to stay there while we got our act together. So we left Kingman this morning, pretty cold, and then we just climbed into, what's the name of the mountain? Wapawai, or one of those mountains. There's a route on the Peace Trail that goes directly into them, and it was awesome, totally awesome. Came back down, it descends past the mine and back down into the lowlands, and then it seems to Peace Trail taking us towards a town called something, Wapachui, something like Wickiup, or something like that. And we're taking the Peace Trail that way, and we're in the midst of a kind of a rocky 2-track, 1.5 track climb. It looks like it's just going to keep going up, so should be exciting.